One of the interesting things that happened when we were putting this project together is it was originally entirely focused around the solar hot water systems. And what happened is we put a hand up, and everybody sort of seemed to kind of start coming to our door and say, well, we'd like to get involved in this project too, because it sounds really interesting. So one of the pieces that happened is that BC Hydro came to us and said, we're looking for a community to demonstrate these ductless split heat pumps. How many people know what ductless split heat pumps are? Quite a few, but... So basically, it's an air source heat pump. You can see the unit sitting outside. This is Tom, he's one of our energy assessors. He put this in his home. So it's a basic heat pump unit that sits outside, but it's a good retrofit for homes with electric baseboard heaters. Because if you've got a furnace and you've got a ducting system, then you can put on a regular heat pump and you've got a means of transmitting the heat and cold around your home. If you've got electric baseboard heaters, you can't put on a heat pump because you don't have that ducting system. This does it for you. There's basically sort of narrow tubes that conduct the heat, and then you end up with something that looks like this, which sits high up on your wall and basically provides you the heat. It's kind of like a radio, if you like, that sort of provides you with the heat and cold. It's an incredibly efficient system, and what we're hearing from our homeowners is their energy costs going way down, which is one of the things that we're trying to achieve. One of the basic things in energy conservation is that, in order to kind of do conservation, you need to know what's going on inside your homes. So what happens with our hydro bills? We get a hydro bill once every couple of months, and I think the in-between month is an estimate anyway. So my bill's a bit higher this month. I have no idea why. My bill's a bit lower this month. That's nice, but I have no idea why. So what we're starting to do is install in homes. This is not a smart meter, this is a smart home system. I don't have a smart meter on my home, but I do have this inside my home. This is actually an Amazon Kindle. It's an e-reader. And our wonderful techie guys have put a little program into it and tied it into my hydro system. So I can see on literally a second-by-second basis how much energy my home is using. So this is a not atypical situation. I've got the computer on. It's October, so there isn't any heating on in the house yet. Probably the fridge is going. I've probably got a couple of lights on. So fairly kind of, standard kind of setup. This is what happens when I have my washer and dryer and the furnace is running. Let me run that by you again. 338 watts cost me 3 cents over the last hour. 7,000 plus watts cost me 72 cents over the last hour. I'm starting to get a lot of real-time information that is making me go, do I really need to put the dryer on, or can I actually just kind of hang some of this stuff on a line? Another interesting sideline. I keep getting sidelined on this one. When we first started, when I first had this in my home, because you take it and you walk all around the home and you sort of say, oh, I wonder what happens when I flip that light on. I'm serious, you do. You start to, what I love doing is I give it to somebody, and then I just kind of quietly go and turn the dryer on or turn the kettle on, and you can hear this, whoa! It's quite fun. So I had a halogen lamp on my desk, and so the guy who put it in, Ludo, said, oh, try turning on that light. So I turned on that light, and the thing whoop, went up 50 watts, and he said, you might want to think about getting a different lamp. So I did. It now goes up 5. Okay, so that's a little bit about the smart homes. Here's another kind of piece that got attracted into the program that we hadn't even thought about, because this was sort of, almost 3 years ago that we started talking about this thing. Electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging infrastructure. At the time we started talking about the Solar Colwood program, the province and BC Hydro said, have you thought about including electric vehicle charging stuff as part of your program? And we said, no. Are they coming? Yeah, they're coming. So we started learning a lot more about it. And the image that you see there is actually taken from a workshop that we had in December. And it was so much fun, because our front parking lot had more electric vehicles than any other kind. It was perfect. We had 5 Nissan Leafs, 4 Chevy Bolts, 3 plug-in Priuses, and a Mitsubishi i-MiEV, a Smart for 2 electric, our electric truck, and 2 electric bicycles. It was fun. But what you will notice is that in order to charge some of those cars, we had a series of extension cords running out of the offices. Not terribly efficient. So it will not surprise you to know that one of the places that we've identified that we really need charging stations in Colwood is at City Hall. So we're actually in the process of putting them in at City Hall, at our Park and Ride, at the local library, and we're also working with Royal Roads University to put charging stations in there too. So you also get into the fun stuff on, does anybody know what this is? It's a Tesla, fully electric. If you like sports cars, this is fun. I didn't get to drive it, but one of my friends did, and he said it was pretty fast. So this was an event we had at our local bakery, where the Tesla, and also this little beastie, which is an electric pickup truck. So this is a prototype model. It's not available yet, but soon. And it was kind of a toss-up. I have to say, there were mostly guys there. And there was a split between the guys who went, ooh, Tesla, and the guys who went, ooh, pickup truck. But that's just a way of saying, you know, these things are real. They're coming on the market. They're really starting to happen. Connie mentioned that my husband and I got a Nissan Leaf. Highly recommended. A lot of fun to drive. You really need to go out there and test, you know, whether it's the Leaf or some other electric truck. Go have fun, test drive it. You also remember I said I had a smart home system. I can measure exactly what happens to the energy use in my home. So Ludo, my techie geek, was over and he said, Judith, did you plug your car in last night? I said, yeah. He said, huh, I could see that. Okay, so what you really have to do is actually translate. So that looks like a huge spike in electrical use. Let's put that into reality. So that's actually, I did a test. I took the car to fully empty, to fully full, cost me $2.40. Bet your gas bills are more than that. But it does raise a real issue. One of the downsides of electric vehicles is that it does add to our electrical load. So how do we start to balance that? So through the Solar Colwood program, in addition to incentives for the solar hot water, incentives for the ductless split heat pumps, et cetera, we're also providing incentives for electric vehicle charging. And this is on top of what the province is providing for at-home charging stations. But one of the things that we're doing is we're saying we're providing you an additional incentive. First, if you are smart grid ready, in other words, if you can set up so that you're charging during off-peak hours. I know there's no difference in pricing at the moment, but who knows, it could well come in the future. But the other thing that we're providing incentives for is to do exactly what, this is our first public charging station in Colwood. It's at our local bakery. That's where you saw the Tesla and the V-Trucks. And what he's done is he's put solar panels, PV panels in this case, on his roof. So what's happening is that Dave charges, who's the baker, charges his car at the bakery all the time. So it's not adding any load to the grid. In fact, it's putting back into the grid. And the nice thing is it's a bakery. So you can go to Dave's bakery, and you can get fuel for your car, and you can get fuel for your stomach, and he does very great sunshine cookies. So, because the rest of it, any power he's not using for his car goes into the bakery. Okay. So, other kind of aspects of the program that are important, the whole kind of training and skills development. We said, you know, this is not just about kind of getting some stuff in and then running away. We want to leave some kind of legacy stuff. We want to do the training and skills development. One of our many partners in the program is the Sook First Nation. And so we put a group of 12 folks through the CANSEA training. We're also doing further developmental work through the local Camosun College, and we're using First Nations as part of the installer teams. These are the guys actually from Sook who are putting the solar on my roof. We're also doing a lot of work around the research and monitoring piece. We have a fabulous relationship with Royal Roads University. We've had a number of different classes of students who've been looking at different aspects of the program. We're doing a lot in terms of education and outreach. And we're also trying to kind of bring in the arts and cultural community. Those of you who have been out to see the Sauk First Nation, this is a solar thermal panel, and the guy is actually etching their logo on it. It now sits on the roof. And then this is one of our local artists. This is Sandra. And what you can see, she does beautiful stained glass work, fused glass. What you can see if you look really closely is that there are solar PV panels embedded down here. So you get function and beauty combined together, which I think is kind of a nice thing to do.